Next on the Broadway show, it's our fall preview special and all the stars are here. Monty Python's Spamalot is back. I'm talking to Tony winner James Monroe Iglehart. Plus, it's a Book of Mormon reunion. Josh Gad and Andrew Rannells starring in an all-new two-man musical, Gutenberg. And we'll preview all the other amazing new shows headed to Broadway this autumn. I'm Tamsen Fadal. This is the Broadway Show. The leaves are changing and so are the marquees. Welcome to autumn on the Great Bright Way. I'm Tamsen Fadal and this is the Broadway Show's Fall Preview Spectacular. Let's get started. Josh Gad and Andrew Rannells are reuniting on Broadway this fall. The original co-stars of the Book of Mormon headed back to the boards in another hilarious new musical comedy, Gutenberg. Paul's here now with the story.
That's right, Tamsen. The popular pair is back together on stage. I sat down with them in the rehearsal room to find out more. Look at you, 2x2, ready for another mission.
2x2, we're going back to Broadway.
Can't afford that.
You and me, hey, yeah.
So since Mormon, we've enjoyed Andrew in Hedwig, Hamilton, falsettos.
Boys in the Band.
The Boys in the Band.
Yes.
Josh, you not so much. Something we said, or?
Well, what happened was offers dried up pretty quick.
There was also, let's be clear, there was a restraining order. Broadway,
Broadway
had a
in
restraining
totality
order?
put a restraining order out against me.
No.
They said this doesn't fit with what we do.
But now look at him. He's back in New York.
But now I'm back.
Gutenberg, exclamation point, the musical.
Yes.
So obviously we all love Stu Gutenberg, obviously. So
Obviously.
that's the reason.
And obviously the show has nothing to do with it. So
Nothing.
Johans, is that how you say it? Gutenberg.
Johann.
Singular.
Johann, silent
The
S.
S and the Steve are silent.
This guy allegedly invented the printing press and movable type.
I didn't know that there was controversy.
there's
I mean, he really did. But actually, the show deals in a lot of falsehoods about
speculation.
He did create the printing press, but then for some reason, kind of got it taken away from him.
Yeah.
And for a long time did not get credit for doing anything. And I don't know what he did with that money, but hard to say. But he, for a long time, didn't really get the credit he deserved. And that's why we wanted to do this show.
Yeah, we wanted to bring his legacy back to light in the same way that Alexander Hamilton had his second day in court.
To teach people that he wasn't a president.
And so we want Gutenberg to have the same sort of Lin-Manuel Miranda style halo effect. Now, it's not going to happen with our show, but we want that. We want this to be the start of him reclaiming his...
Yeah, we're just proud to be a little part of it.
Now, I apologize, but you wear a lot of hats in the show.
Hey!
The two songwriters, you're playing the guys who wrote the show.
Yes.
And you're playing every character. Any favorite of these hats, or some inappropriate characters?
My favorite is...
Helvetica's my favorite. That's a character.
Helvetica's a great one.
My favorite is the one I take off last when I know the show's over and I can wipe the copious amounts of sweat off my face.
You can lay down.
I do like Another Woman.
Another Woman's great.
Another Woman is great.
Yeah. My most formulated character so far is Drunk Number 1. It's a character I've been building towards my entire life.
Right. It's
typecast. Yeah, and it was the one I did the most research for.
You're nailing it, bud.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bud.
The search for the Holy Grail continues on Broadway this fall. It's a revival of Spamalot, the 2005 Tony winner for Best Musical, based loosely on Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I caught up with one of the stars of the new Spamalot, James Monroe Iglehart. Let's talk about Tony-winning musical Spamalot and what this means to you to be back on stage with the show.
It means a great deal. It means so much to me. My Spamalot family and I had a great time in Washington, D.C. at the Kennedy Center. Never in a million years did we think we'd bring it to Broadway, and the fact that we're here is nothing but a blessing. And we can't wait to bring the wonderful music, the great story, and the absolute silliness of the great Monty Python show back to New York City.
Who's the king?
You are!
Who's the king?
You are!
Audiences just love this. We need to laugh.
Yeah, I think so. I think with all the things happening in the world today, I think people need to smile. I think people need to laugh. I think people need to remember that it's okay to be silly. I think there's so much like, it's like every time you turn on the television or listen to a podcast, it's like, it's a mugshot, or somebody's running into your house, or it's like the climate, everybody's either burning or freezing, and then you just need someone to just be silly and say something absolutely ridiculous. But I think you need, a bunch of really silly guys searching for the Holy Grail, but at the same time, being attacked by a giant killer rabbit. I mean, that is what this world needs right now, just to take your mind off the realness. I mean, when our show is so silly, and our show is just as silly as the real stuff in the world, at least our silly will make you laugh.
Isn't that scary?
Yeah, our silly will make you laugh, and I think that's what
it is so true versus cry. King Arthur, it was built for you. It's just fun.
It's funny. I feel so privileged to step into these shoes created by the legendary Monty Python, but also the legendary Tim Curry, and then to be able to step into the shoes for this, for this new season. It's really funny. Plus, it's King Arthur. I mean, I've been following this story since, like the Disney version of like Sword in the Stone. So it's like you follow these things, Excalibur. You've heard this all your life, and then to actually be able to hold Excalibur and play this role, even as nutty as it is, I think it's fun. Also, the fun part about my role is King Arthur's dead serious. He's dead serious to find the Holy Grail. Everybody around him is nuts, but he is dead serious.
Which makes him
and
so
that's
funny.
what makes it so much fun.
Great Scott, the DeLorean has arrived on Broadway. It's Back to the Future, the musical. Based on the iconic sci-fi film from the 80s, the musical features 17 brand new songs and the classics from the movie. And of course, the DeLorean. It drives, it flies, and a whole lot more. Newcomer Casey Likes is playing the Michael J. Fox role of Marty McFly on stage, and he's here with a special announcement. Take it away, Casey.
Hey y'all, it is Casey Likes, and I am so excited to announce that I will be bringing a weekly vlog called the McFly Files to the Broadway show across America and Broadway.com. I'll be showing you backstage at Back to the Future, the musical on Broadway, and you'll get to see everything that makes the show, from the Calvins to the puffer jacket to the DeLorean. So please join me later this month, and we're gonna have some fun. Bye.
The music of David Byrne and Fatboy Slim is on Broadway right now in Here Lies Love. A decade in the making, it's a revolutionary Broadway production about the former First Lady of the Philippines, Imelda Marcos. And Here Lies Love is the first Broadway show ever to feature an all-Filipino cast, and it's totally immersive. There's a disco ball and a DJ, and all the seats at the Broadway Theater have been stripped out so hundreds of audience members can join the party on the dance floor.
The audience and the actors are within 3 feet of each other. I am there shaking your hands. I'm singing directly to your face. Audiences have never gotten such an up-close and personal experience of a story on Broadway as they're going to get here.
Tony Award winner Leslie Odom Jr. is back on Broadway this fall with the revival of PURLIE VICTORIOUS, a non-Confederate romp through the cotton patch. Let's send it out to Beth Stevens.
Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee are heroes to so many people.
Yes.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but your daughter's named after Ruby Dee. Yeah. So you have a personal connection, a real looking up to this couple. Tell me about that.
Thanks to Spike Lee's reverence for their contributions to the arts too. A whole generation of us really got to know Ossie and Ruby through Spike's work, at first at least. That was our, he always includes them. I wonder why, and over time I discovered more and more about why. Yeah, they're pillars. I mean, the fact that, Dr. King is planning this little march, I think he knew it was going to be more than a little march, but it was his march. It was his thing that he was planning, March on Washington, and he calls up his pals. I'm going to need some entertainment. We're going to need a little bit of entertainment in between, interstitially in between the speeches. Would you guys, organize that? Malcolm X passes away. Ossie's phone rings. Can you write the eulogy? I mean, when you think about, that's a tall tale. That's a big life that they both lived. All the lives that they touched and the leaders that depended on them.
Tell me about recreating this play that was so important to Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee.
I feel like what Ossie Davis has written is a dissection in the absurdity of the social and racial structures of this America.
This play deals with stereotypes, but brings this warmth and reality to it. Tell me what you think about that process for Ossie Davis and why he chose to do it that way.
I hear, the story goes, that they said, we want you to write a play about race in America. And he thought about it and he says, that's too painful. The only way I can get through it is to tell it through humor. And he did it, you know. PURLIE Victorious, we're still romping through that cotton patch in 2023.
For tickets to all these shows and more, head over to Broadway.com, and there's still a whole lot more to talk about on our fall preview special. Coming up on The Broadway Show.
Casting directors are in the business of making dreams come true. I'm Perry Sook, speaking with the duo who did just that for the cast of the brand new musical, How to Dance in Ohio.
We'll be right back. 42 years ago this fall, Merrily We Roll Along opened on Broadway for a short 2-week run. Now the musical is finally back on Broadway with a star-studded cast: Daniel Radcliffe, Jonathan Groff, and Lindsay Mendez. And of course, the songs of Stephen Sondheim. The musical follows the lives of 3 friends over 3 decades as the highs and lows of life challenge their bond. Director Maria Friedman is bringing her acclaimed London production to the Hudson Theater.
It's both hilarious and heartbreaking. Stephen Sondheim is always the cleverest person in the room. He's just, you can't, and what he does is he supplies you with that cleverness. But then the genius of that man is that he leaves a gap for your heart. There's a gap for a shape of a Lindsay Mendez or a Jonathan Groff or a Daniel Radcliffe. And when you put them together, they fill that space that he's left. He gives you a flavor of who these people are. And then the actor is allowed just to stretch out and offer all their amazing gifts.
Welcome to Jaja's African Hair Braiding. It's a story of a bustling Harlem salon featuring an eclectic group of West African hair braiders. Charlie Cooper took a walk with the playwright Jocelyn B.O.
Jocelyn, just the title of the show alone has me snapping because I already know it's going to be relatable to me. And I love that you're bringing people into this very sacred space. We see the hair salon, the braiding shops, the barber shops as this place where we come together, talk about things, all of the things.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about just that experience and what other people will get out of it.
Well, you know, look, I've spent most of my life in a hair braiding shop. I feel like, you know, probably cumulatively like, 5 years, hours and hours, getting a style done that I've been wanting to get done. And you get and meet so many people, so many different walks of life who just come in looking, to get their hair done and walk out with a new lease on life, And at the same time, you then have these relationships that you build with these beautiful, incredible immigrant women, who have their own stories and experiences that will never ever get highlighted in any sort of way. We pass by them on the street, sometimes they're trying to flag you down and get your hair braided too, and to be able to like uplift them and highlight their stories just felt like just a thrilling, thing. It's really a love letter to them,
I've had those experiences too growing up where you're literally in the braiding shop for like a work day, 8+ hours.
Yes.
Have you had a personal moment where you've been at a shop and you've maybe written a play or just had a creative, spurt?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote a lot of this play in a hair braiding shop, by the way, like the idea hit me and I started like writing notes and putting everything together, and I wanted to be able to, there's so many like little different sparks and little conversations that happen. People who come in, the rude customer who's just like having a bad day and wants everyone else to have a bad day, or the one who's eating an insanely messy meal, just Thanksgiving in their lap, and you're like, okay, and then there's the person who's just like the quiet, shy, somebody who's just trying to get a new, hairstyle. And it's like all of those people, just make up the color and the fabric of a hair braiding shop.
For those who haven't experienced the Black Salon experience, what do you hope that they get from this?
Yeah.
But I feel like this show allows them to be seen.
Of course, and it's always about humanizing experiences that we, don't really know. But I think for these women, I wanted to be able to highlight their lives, highlight their experiences, their hopes, their dreams, their ambitions, and just not kind of slide them to the side as just like immigrants, and that's all they are.
Barry Manilow is a music legend, and now the new musical Harmony from Manilow and longtime collaborator Bruce Sussman is making its long-awaited Broadway debut. It tells the story of the comedian harmonists, 6 Jewish and Gentile singers who became the biggest music sensation of pre-Nazi Germany.
We felt like it was our duty to make people aware of this group. They were so talented, and their story is so tragic. Nobody remembers them, and people should. They were a very, very inventive, entertaining group that should not have gone away. They were so popular, and nobody remembers them. So it's our duty to make people aware of them.
Grammy winner Melissa Etheridge brings her story and songs to the stage this fall with My Window on Broadway. Here's Melissa.
Hey, Melissa Etheridge here. I just finished up my summer tour, and I am now so excited to be heading to Broadway. I'm bringing my one-woman show, Melissa Etheridge, My Window, to Circle in the Square. Shows start September 14th, and I'm really excited about this. I look forward to seeing you there, and you're watching The Broadway Show.
The Broadway Show is back in just a sec. Thanks so much for staying with us for this latest episode of The Broadway Show. So glad you're here. Danny DeVito makes his Broadway return this October in I Need That. The Always Sunny in Philadelphia actor will star alongside his daughter Lucy. The new comedy from playwright Teresa Rebeck is about a reclusive hoarder who either has to clean up his property or faces eviction. How to Dance in Ohio arrives on Broadway this November. It's based on the award-winning HBO documentary. It features 7 actors who are autistic, making their Broadway debuts. Perry's here with a look at how the musical found its cast.
Before a Broadway bow can take place, it's up to casting directors to find and enlist the best of the best for their job. In the new musical How to Dance in Ohio, 7 autistic actors will be making their Broadway debut. If we stick right here, in just a minute, I'll catch up with the casting team behind this groundbreaking production. Well, right here we are in the middle of Times Square. There's so many things to do on Broadway. You don't just have to be on stage to be a part of it. Such a collaborative art form. When you walk into that casting room, it's kind of scary that you guys are on the other table just staring us down. But you know what? What are you guys looking for? What is your vibe? What are you hoping to see each and every time somebody walks in the room?
I mean, I'm just looking for like human beings who are people. I know it's very scary and it is this sort of job interview mentality, but ultimately like performers bring themselves into their roles. And so we want to see like who they are and do more than just the performance of it, but the human to human interaction.
I think for so long it was about actors transforming themselves, becoming something they're not. But I think now storytelling has changed and the suspension of belief has changed, that now we're looking for people to actually sincerely and authentically share themselves with us, and we shape stories around them. And so actually I think How to Dance in Ohio is a really great example of a show that we've been able to do that really beautifully. Finding 7 autistic young people to play these 7 young people in this show, I mean, it seemed like a really hard quest at first, but once we actually began the search and auditioned thousands of people across the country, we really discovered that we're looking for folks to actually be themselves, to bring themselves to the material, and they shape the story around them. So these 7, their DNA is in the story that we're telling, which as casting director is the coolest thing, but also a really frightening thing when it comes time to replace them. And we're looking for something very specific.
You know, there's so much that went into the casting of How to Dance in Ohio, not only looking for, neurodivergent people to tell their truthful story, but also, it's based on something. Yeah. When you're doing something based on something else, how much are you looking at that reference material to tell the authentic stories of the people they're based upon?
From the get-go when we were on this project, they were like, check out the documentary. I had never seen it, and so the very first thing I did was be like, okay, time to sit down. Yeah. From there, the creative team, they have done so much work with like the real people who we are representing in our show, but as we also say in the show, like this is a dramatization. So much of these roles, they are real people and they also are the actors we've cast. And that it is this union of both. And that is part of the development process of a show. It's finding a way to adapt real life and mix it with this world of performance and creation and fantasy in some ways.
Emmy winner Sarah Paulson is headed back to Broadway for the first time in 13 years this fall. She's starring in the family drama Appropriate from playwright Brandon Jacobs Jenkins. A family forced to deal with dark secrets and ghosts from the past while reconnecting over the memory of their late father. For tickets and more info, head over to Broadway.com. This is a Broadway show, and we're back in just a few. That's going to do it for us, but if you want to check out extended cuts of all the interviews in this show, plus tickets to the season's hottest plays and musicals, head over to Broadway.com. Until next time, I'm Tamsen Fadal, and this is The Broadway Show.